What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for being here on my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. So let's talk about tonight's episode of Survivor Winners at War. What is this now? The 7th episode, I think? So in the last episode, we had our double elimination. Parvati, then Sandra. And we'd always kind of heard this rumor that somebody was going to raise their flag at Extinction. And I always kind of felt that it would be Sandra. For a couple reasons. Number one, Sandra was never going to win a challenge to get back in. She, to her own admission, she's not good at those things. So why suffer at the edge when you don't really have a chance at getting back in? And number two, she even said it in this episode, and I agree with it. What more does she have to accomplish in Survivor? Now listen, I'm not a huge Sandra fan. Not at all. Pro Island, she got a legit win. I'd have rather seen Fair Play win that season, but she got a legit win. Heroes vs. Villains, that season belonged to Parvati. She should have won that season. Reality check here, guys. Russell deserved to win Heroes vs. Villains more than Sandra. But they had a bitter jury, so Sandra won. But seriously, what else does she have to accomplish in Survivor? So she even said it herself, I don't need to sit out here and starve, climb a mountain for a spoonful of rice a day. She was out. She was out. And you know what? More power to her. I kind of hope that's it for her, though. I don't really ever want to see her play again. Like I said, she's not my favorite. And the problem with players like this is that, you know, big name players like Sandra and Rob and Parvati, you know, even people who aren't playing this season, you know, talk about Russell, Rupert. I don't think that these are players that are ever going to stand a chance against newer players. Not because the newer players are better players, but because the first people that the newer players are going to want to get rid of are going to be those big names. And you're seeing that play out this season. I even turned the TV on tonight and said, all right, what old school player is going to go home tonight? I did. In all honesty, I said that. I said, what old school player is going to go home tonight? And really, Yul was the last one. Maybe Tony, but even Tony, not really. What was Tony? Season 28? I kind of look at the divide pre-Heroes vs. Villains and post-Heroes vs. Villains. This is new school versus old school, because Heroes vs. Villains was season 20. And Tony was after Heroes vs. Villains. So really, it was down to Yul. Yul was the last one. And I turned on the TV saying, what old school player is going home tonight? Because it's been Denise's move aside, because Denise made a great move last week. Denise's move aside, this has been the most predictable season of Survivor I've ever seen. That's not to say it hasn't been enjoyable, because I've enjoyed watching it. I've enjoyed spending time with old friends that I've never met. But it's the most predictable season of Survivor ever. Once it started playing out, and once you started seeing how the chips were going to fall, it was very obvious what was going on. The old school players go first. Even the ones who aren't huge threats, all of the old school players go first. Amber wasn't a threat. She was never going to win this game. So all the old school players are going first. And with Yul, that caps it off. He was the last old schooler to go. So I guess now the game's starting, right? Now the game is finally starting because they got rid of those old schoolers. And guys, Wendell was the right move. He was the right move. Because I don't think Yul would have flipped on his alliance. And I think Wendell would flip in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. So yeah, They should not have called this Winners at War. They should have called this New School versus Old School, and it would have been a quick season. Yes, that's really the way it's played out pre-merge. Literally, the merge is next episode, and there's not one old schooler going to the merge. And that's a bummer, because the old schoolers, I think, are the ones that the people who've been fans of Survivor for 2 decades, I think they're the ones that we were most excited about watching. And they're not going to be there for the brunt of the game. Yeah, they're on edge of extinction, but they're not going to be in the game for the brunt of the game, and that's a bummer. So at this point in the game, I'm cheering for Tony. I want him to win it all. I want him to take it. Go Tony. He was one of my favorite winners anyways. In history, he's been one of my favorite winners. I think he's wildly entertaining. And he seems to be very likable. But there's just something about him where I'm like, if he wins this, that would at least feel like a victory to me. Even though I'm not playing, it'd feel like a victory. But a person who I do think is getting a huge winner's edit, or at least a final 3 edit, is Michelle. I think that based on the edit that she's gotten so far, she is going to make it to the final 3. And they're having a really hard time editing it to make her look like a powerful player, because she is not acting like a powerful player. Telling Nick, just tell me how to vote. Just tell me how to vote. I'll vote that way. Kind of falling in with Wendell, even though clearly he was not good to her. She does not strike me as somebody. She does not strike me as somebody that's playing this game so much as somebody that's trying to get to the end under the radar. She talks about how, well, I feel like I didn't deserve to win the last game. I wasn't sure if I deserved to win, but I'm going to deserve this time. You're not doing anything. You're a pawn. You're a pawn. And maybe she'll do something later, but right now I just watch it and I'm like, she's getting a huge edit, a very positive edit, and she's not doing anything. She's just falling in line with what everybody else is saying. Bummer. And I was one of the people that didn't like her in the first place. I was like, she did not deserve to win her season. So I'm one of the people she's talking about. Let's talk about Edge of Extinction. Go Boston Rob. Go Boston Rob. I loved the way that he got up that hill and got those 3 fire tokens before anybody else did. I hope it pays off. I hope he gets back into the game. I really do. I don't think he will, but I hope he does. Because he's my favorite player of all time. One thing that I like about Edge of Extinction is we still get to spend time with our favorite characters. They're not out of the game yet. Technically, they're still in the game. Technically, they're still in the hunt. Technically, they could still win. Chris Underwood taught us that. So, I really enjoy being able to continue to spend time with these characters, Rob and Parvati. What a great moment that was between Parvati and Ethan, right? So it really kind of showed, just gave you more context into what Ethan is dealing with, but it also humanized Parvati in a way where it made her seem like, I already liked her, but it's made her seem very likable as a person. So some of the greatest moments of this season so far have been on the edge, because what's happening in the game is just so predictable. It's so predictable. Now, now the merge is here, everything could be up in the air, and we could have the greatest second half of Survivor that we've ever had, for all I know. But the first half has been extremely predictable. It's only been saved by the fact that it was entertaining spending time with old friends. That's it. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about this last episode of Survivor. See you, Yul. I wish you were still here and that Wendell was on edge, but it's not, because old schoolers went first. All right. So what do you guys think of this episode of Survivor? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here. at the Oki Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.